Welcome to another powerful episode of this show where we dive deep into the conversations that inspire and challenge and heal. And today we are joined by an incredibly inspiring woman, Gina Kunadian, a devoted wife, loving mother, and a beacon of hope for many. So join us right now as we explore Gina's inspiring journey and the life-changing wisdom that she wants to share with us and with all of you. Welcome to the Freedom Seeker Show, the place for unfiltered conversations that matter to women. I'm your host, Yvonne Winkler, certified life coach and women's wisdom guide, author, facilitator, and mental health advocate. And I acknowledge that I'm on the unceded traditional territories of the Comox First Nation. Through her popular podcast, Shine Within, Gina lights the way for her listeners, guiding them towards a life of unwavering confidence, clarity, and vitality, free from the grip of alcohol dependency. Gina wears numerous hats with grace, including that of a certified massage therapist and a life-changing women's alcohol-free sobriety coach. Having walked the arduous path of overcoming alcoholism herself, Gina embodies the spirit of resilience and dedication, passionately supporting others to reclaim their power and embark on a transformative journey towards sobriety and her unique transformation shine process.
Yvonne, I'm so excited to be on your show today. Thank you so much. A freedom seeker. I'm all about freedom and I'm all about sobriety. So those are two very important things I love to talk about. Thank you so much for having me.
Share with us a bit about your journey with alcoholism and what motivated you to become a sobriety coach for women.
Oh, yes, I'd love to share my story. I would say, I wish it started off as a great childhood, but obviously it stems from that. Not so good of a childhood. I would draw up little pictures of myself, my mother, and a man. Now, you see, my father had passed away when I was a baby, about 10 months old, and I didn't have that father figure. So my mom noticed that I was actually behaving in ways where I was wanting to seek a father. Like I would draw pictures, I would tell her, oh, where's dad? Or this, that. And so I think she started dating, and then she found a guy. We thought he had good intentions, but he didn't. I was unfortunately molested from the ages of 6 years old to 12 years old. I had kept that all bottled up inside, didn't say anything to anybody until I was 22 years old through an intervention. And we can talk about that one a little bit later. But I actually kept everything inside. So, of course, I had bad relationships in elementary school with friends of mine. I was more of a people pleaser. And of course, I had bad relationships in high school with guys as I started dating. My first boyfriend when I was 15 and he was 15, I had to get a restraining order because he was physically abusive, shaking me, wouldn't let me do whatever I want. I couldn't talk to even my girlfriends at the time. Very controlling, very manipulative, very demanding. Everything that I didn't want in a guy, obviously, but I wound up staying with him until my mom saw the bruises on my arms and said, no, we're going to get a restraining order. So that was my first experience of having a boyfriend. And later on in high school, I had another boyfriend that total opposite, very kind, loving, was always buying me gifts, completely opposite. But he introduced me to a different culture, a culture where it was more party-like. I never touched a cigarette. I never smoked weed. I never did anything ever. So he introduced me to the rave culture where it was a bunch of music, underground, warehouse-like environment, a bunch of, all ages. And I got introduced to the drug ecstasy. That was my very first substance that I've ever tried in my life. And I thought I was going to die when I took it first because I didn't know what to expect. However, I noticed the vibe was changing and I was kind of enjoying the atmosphere. I was finally feeling like, hey, I feel like I belonged in this type of environment. And so I just kind of like stuck with that rave culture until I was then 21 years old. What's 21? Oh, that's the age you can start drinking alcohol, right? And it's legal. So here I was then starting to party with my friends. I didn't really start drinking alcohol until I was 22. I met my DJ husband when I was 23 years old. And then we got married in 2007. I was 25. We had our first son in 2008. I was 26. We continued the lifestyle, drugs, alcohol, partying with friends, staying out all night, and our behavior was reckless. Like we were just two unhealthy people together, just living this false reality. But my behavior started changing. I was very angry. Obviously, everything stemmed up inside me. My drinking habits were actually this. First, it was habitual or social, habitual, then dependency. I needed a fifth of vodka in order to function. My ex-husband, he's my ex-husband now, was very codependent, very codependent. So if I said, hey, I need a bottle of alcohol, can you please go get it to me from the store? Boom. 5 minutes, within 5 minutes, he would literally have it there for me. So I was literally dying, and he didn't share anything to anybody about the severity of my drinking. I just thought it was like everyone could drink like this. And sure enough, it really started affecting my health. I started creating these delusional thoughts in my head, like as if he was cheating on me. I was picking fights with him. Cops were in and out of our household. He was arrested at one point. I should have been arrested at some other points. And it got to a point where he did not want to come home anymore. And he told me, I'm not going to come home. I'm going to keep our son. We're going to stay at my mother's house. You need help. And I was raging. I was angry, but good for him. Thinking back now, I was so sad though, because I did not have anybody in the household, nobody. So I remember I was drowning wine and taking Ativan because, of course, I had anxiety, I had depression, all the things that come with drinking a lot of alcohol. I remember texting my friend one time and I said, you know what? I don't care if I live or die. And I'm just going to drink this alcohol and take these Ativan. And I don't even care if I wake up. Well, fortunately, he took that very seriously. He contacted my mother, who then contacted the ambulance. What I remember is waking up, people were inside my house. They were transporting me to the hospital. And I remember waking up and my doctor was there. And he's like, we're so happy that you're alive. And I was just like in and out of it. I was like, well, what's going on? And I went to outpatient program. Actually, first I went to inpatient program because of the episode that had happened. And I stayed there for 3 days. Then I did an outpatient program, which I was already signed up for, believe it or not, because I wanted help with anxiety. I wanted help with depression. I wanted help with my anger, but I did not admit that I wanted help with my alcoholism because I did not admit that yet. I was there. I met people. And it wasn't until Thanksgiving in 2014 that I had come back from a party. My mom says, we're going to pick you up. We're going to go to your brother's house for Thanksgiving. We did. I didn't have any alcohol with me. And I started feeling sweats, clammy, shaky. Like I felt like I was going to die. And so I told my mom, I needed something to drink because I don't feel good. My body needs it. She's like, no, here's 4 ounces of wine only. I'm like, huh? No, I said, I need at least the whole bottle. And she was like, looked at me all crazy. And I like, yes. So I drank that and then I felt normal, like I can function. And that was the very first time I actually admitted I was an alcoholic because I could not manage my life without it. My body was so dependent on that. And that next month in December, I checked myself into rehab, stayed there for 30 days. Wonderful people they had AA meetings there, they had counseling meetings, they had all these activities. And yeah, I stayed sober, of course, and I enjoyed myself there, my time there. Well, what did I do after the 30 days? That same day I was released, I went to a casino and thought, hey, I can drink and stop at the same time. There's no problem. So I drank. I got in connection with a college friend, and I was very vulnerable, and we were hanging out a lot. And I wound up getting pregnant. And so I got pregnant. And then I was like, okay, let's try to make this work. We wound up living together. I stopped drinking. And then after I stopped nursing, I started drinking again, thinking, oh, I can stop, no problem. But, my behavior was getting worse again. But it was like so much worse than it was when I was with my ex-husband. Like things were happening. And he did call the cops, luckily. It wasn't a time of despair that I remember right before I was going to go to work. I had to stop at a liquor store. This was my routine. Go ahead and get a pint of vodka, get a Coca-Cola bottle, go ahead and mix the two and drink it before I drove. Yes, unfortunately, I needed to drink in order for me to drive. And I went ahead and I just like, you know what? I am so sick of my sickness. I do not want to live like this anymore. Like I want to change. I need help. I called out. I wasn't religious or spiritual at the time. I just knew there was something higher than myself that can probably help. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did. I had to surrender. And that was exactly what I did. I said, I need help. I do not want to live like this anymore. And I remember crying, and then it was rainy that day and everything. And 2 weeks later, a blessing in disguise, I was actually hospitalized with pancreatitis because I could not consume alcohol anymore. My body was rejecting it, and I was in severe pain and agony and just hurting. It was a blessing because I was at a hospital. The doctor was scolding me, said, "You need to take your health so serious because you're going to die within 10 years if you do not stop." And
Mm-hmm.
I did take her seriously. I said, wow, this is a setting that I need to be in, a hospital setting where I can be properly detoxed and then start brand new. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did. I was released a week later. I had already moved into a studio because it wasn't working out with between my little son's father and myself. And I remember going back home and there was a bottle of vodka there. And I remember just taking that, throwing it out. And then it was in September 2017. That was the moment I decided to become sober and change my life completely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow, what a ride. Thank you so much for sharing that. There are so many pieces in there that I can resonate with, and I'm certain our viewers can resonate with. And I'm curious, as a result of your journey and your sobriety since 2017, congratulations. It's amazing. You developed a shine process. It's a transformative shine process. Can you explain what it entails and how it supports individuals on their path of sobriety?
Absolutely. Oh, I would love this story so much. When I decided to become sober, I was trying to work out more. I was a 5 a.m.er at Orange Theory because I wanted a healthy distraction. I wanted to become healthy. One of my girlfriends saw that, like, hey, if you're into exercise, you should get into yoga. I'm like, sure, let me get into yoga. What is yoga? She said, well, I have a friend who will actually help you. She's an expert. I said, perfect. So I wound up meeting with her. And it was like the perfect timing because she had just created a women's mentorship program for the mind. For she was a mindset coach. They didn't have any alcohol recovery coaches. They didn't have sobriety coaches. They didn't have any of that, at least when I was first getting sober. And so I actually took her mentorship program and she helped me so much in my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So, what she would always share with me, she would always say, keep shining, keep shining. So, that has stuck with me to this day, obviously, because I created a program called the Shine Transformation Process. Now, SHINE is an acronym. SHINE
Mm-hmm.
to me is sobriety, healing, inspiration, nourishing, and empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
All of those combined, you will definitely be shining. The spiritual aspect of healing is very important because we get to know our spirit inside that's ready to shine out. And just surrendering to that higher power, whatever it is, God, frequency, source, energy, creator, whatever you want to call it, it is love. That love that's inside you, it's once you have that relationship and start trusting yourself, then you start loving yourself. Once you start loving yourself and then trusting yourself and doing things that make you feel a little uncomfortable, like going on podcasts and stuff, you will see yourself just start glowing and shining and just really getting in touch with your spiritual being. You are amazing. Like I am so in awe when it comes to the spiritual being that's inside us.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Wow. I love the acronyms, being someone who really loves word plays. So I love how you really took that. And I, from my own experience with sobriety and also the freedom that comes with it, I feel um, closely to what you just said about the trusting ourselves and just really not shying away from going inward, stop looking outside of ourselves for the answers to what is within us to discover and really coming back to the essence of who we are. So I really love that. Thank you for sharing how the Shine transformation process works. That's fantastic. So can you also share some of the most significant obstacles that you have encountered both on your own journey, but also by coaching others with the Shine process?
The journey inward is so important. I had such a hard time in the beginning to learn who is Gina as a spiritual being, because all I knew is the Gina that drank. All
Mm-hmm.
I knew is the Gina that was reckless. All I knew is the Gina who just partied all the time. I didn't know myself. And it wasn't until I became sober that I started like having like I was a big awakening. It was freedom and very liberating that I started noticing, wow, this world isn't the way it really, this world is really different when you're sober. You start
Mm-hmm.
looking things differently. Like I started appreciating nature more. I didn't appreciate nature whatsoever. I thought, okay, we can breathe the air. No, I'm so connected to nature. I am so connected to even just grounding my feet in the dirt when I'm outside and getting that connection. Like, because it feels like everything is connected, even their animals, you know. I love my cat. And it's just an amazing journey. So my biggest obstacle was trying to discover what does Gina enjoy doing as a sober person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing things that I thought I would not normally do. Like, for example, I started getting into this health business. I started then creating reels for the health business. I'm like, what is a reel? Because I was going to take down my social media in 2020 when we had that pause. I think that pause was so important because I really was able to then self-discover and then say, okay, what are the things that I love doing? Well, I realized I love cooking. I realized I like being outside. I realized I love reading and researching. I love just family time, you know, and these are things that I thought I would never like. So I really started doing things that made me feel good inside. And I'm telling you, once you start doing the things that you enjoy doing, you're just happier person. So I started doing the reels and everything. And then I remember I started going to this master class for entrepreneur women because here I was building this business for health. Well, it took me to a completely different journey. It took me to where I then discovered what I'm really supposed to be doing. Because, you know, I was a weight loss consultant. I'm still a massage therapist. My goal was always to help people, but I really needed to help myself first in order for me to help
Mm-hmm.
others. And
Yes.
I was ready. So I'm like, okay, let's just delve into this master class. And I learned, and then I got into your program. I learned so much about creating a business. And then it just took me to different opportunities, podcasting, coaching, collaboration. You know, I mean, 2 years ago, I would have thought I would never be on your show. I'd be so nervous and so terrified. Public speaking was one of my biggest fears, by the way. But I never thought I would start talking on podcasts or even in public. And
Mm-hmm.
so I start doing things that make me feel a little bit nervous, but exciting at the same time. So I just noticed that was my biggest obstacle was trying to figure out who I was. And but of course we all have little hiccups, you know, trying to figure out a business. You know, I'm a solopreneur. I don't have help. I wish I did. But I'm discovering things that I can do. Like, mind you, Yvonne, so I never use desktop because I'm in the massage business. It's been 17 years now. I
Mm-hmm.
still am in the massage business. And my phone is my computer. So I had to learn how to create my own website. I had to learn how to do my own editing for like podcasts. I had to learn how to do everything on my own. But I really think that guidance from up above is really helpful. So yeah.
Quite a few obstacles there. I can hear that. And again, the underlying story of just what fell away when you became sober was the preoccupants of your mind on all the things that really didn't matter so much, as it was what's right in here. So the presence that you were able to show up as, the discovery stage of like, what do I actually like, and what do I enjoy doing? I remember going through that myself, and the food started to taste better and the colors look brighter. And I'm still discovering some of the other things I enjoy doing, which I, in the past, quite ironically, in the past thought I couldn't do without drinking. So, like, I love to sing, for example, or like you spoke about public speaking. I love conversations. And yet, what I had to learn is that my my way of having conversation isn't in a big room with thousands of other people and like having a lot of noise, like a club or a big conference. My way of conversation, and the most enjoyable way for me to have conversation is in this format, like one-on-one or just a small group and in serene settings, whether it's in nature or whether it's in a beautiful spa. So it's relearning those aspects and not thinking, oh, I can't do that because I don't have booze anymore to help me, support me on, being able to stand in a room and socialize. I really appreciate you sharing that. That's great insight. And I'm curious, furthermore, how has becoming sober influenced your relationships with yourself, most importantly, and also with your family and your loved ones?
Oh my goodness. Can I tell you a story?
Yes, please.
Becoming sober has changed my life completely, like completely. I discovered exactly who I am and my purpose here on earth. And once I've discovered my purpose, all the doors open up. It's amazing. So while I was actually, in let me see, my second year of sobriety, I did not want to date. I was like, no way am I wanting to date anybody. I just want to focus on myself, that higher power there that's guiding me. And that was it. Well, sure enough. So my path took me to church, and I was kind of new to the whole experience, but I loved serving. So I wound up serving children's ministry. I was taking care of all the little kids. They're so cute. They're like 3, 4, 5 years old. And then I started also serving what's called street ministry, where we would actually go in teams and go to the city of Fremont. This is where I'm originally from. And we would go ahead and serve the homeless that are out in the streets, and we have conversations with them, and we would just enjoy just talking with them. And they really appreciate that because they don't get that at all, I'm sure, elsewhere. And so I wound up falling in love with this little boy because he reminded me of my youngest son. And I was like, oh, he's so cute. Da, 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 da. Well, his dad was actually serving in the street ministry. And I wound up going, hey, your son is such a good boy. He's a little love. Oh, you know my son? I said, yeah. And then a week later, he had added me on Facebook, and I accepted. Then he said, hey, I noticed you have a son too, around the same age. Maybe we can get the kids together and they can play. I said, sure, that sounds wonderful. Thinking, oh, please, I don't want to date. Thinking in my head, it's not right timing. I hope this is just for the kids, nothing for us. Well, the kids never wanted to play. Did Facebook Messenger. We were just chit-chatting a lot. And then we have found like we're so much in common when like he asked, hey, maybe we can go out to dinner. And I'm like, okay, why not? And then we shared our stories. And I was vulnerable, and I shared with him, like, I'm just going to share everything because, if he likes it, good. If he doesn't like it, good. Either or, I'm fine. Well, we wound up falling in love, and he thought my story was incredible, just a great testament of how much we can change and transform. And then what wound up happening is we got married in February of 2020. So with my sobriety, I can compare both marriages. When I was not sober, that marriage was destructive, reckless. It's just crazy. Now that I'm sober, like this marriage here, I was like, wow, every marriage is supposed to be like this. It's amazing because he doesn't drink, I don't drink. And with our blended family that we've come together, it's incredible, and it's still unfolding. As I told you earlier, what's going on, it's still unfolding. And so the relationship has gone much better. I feel like I have really better communication with everybody that I encounter. I'm just happier. I'm not fake anymore. I used to like when people are like, oh, how are you doing, Gina? I'd be like, oh, I'm fine, when really I'm just being so sad. But now I can generally say, yes, I'm fine. I feel great. I mean, of course, I will have those bad days where it's not always that good. We're human beings, whatever. It goes away. But I'm so much happier now in my relationships and myself. Like I said before, once I started trusting myself, I really started loving myself.
Once I started trusting myself, I started loving myself. Yeah. Love, love, love. Thank you. So for our audience who are listening and watching and maybe contemplating taking their first steps towards more alcohol-free life or becoming sober curious, what advice would you give them to start this journey with courage and resilience?
Oh, yeah. So a lot of people see seeking help as a sign of weakness. It is not. It is such a sign of strength. So if you are wanting to ask or wanting help, just go ahead and ask. Even if you want to have a conversation with somebody about what you're going through, those are the best conversations because you're actually being vulnerable about what you're going through. And I think so much now, a lot of people are becoming more authentic. They're becoming themselves, and a lot of storytelling too. And those who are listening to your story are the ones that need to be around because they're giving you space to have your story unfold and you tell them what's going on. So seek help. If you feel it in your heart, seek help. It's not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength.
Such beautiful advice from Gina. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute honor to have you on the show today. Your story is a very powerful testament to the strength and resilience of the human spirit, and the work you're doing is truly transformative. Thank you for sharing your light. And now that I know the acronym part, that makes me giggle. Your wisdom with us and your guidance. So many women will discover their inner shine through your program and through your sharing your stories. And I know you're working on something big right now, and I cannot wait for you to release that in due time. To our listeners, hopefully you'll be back on the show, and also just to the world. So as we wrap up here today, this very inspiring conversation with Gina, I'm excited to also announce a special book giveaway that embodies the spirit of transformation and sobriety that we've talked about today. And if you're ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery and empowerment, here's your chance to dive in deeper. Participating is quite simple, but your engagement is needed. So share your story or insight on your designated social media platforms, whether it's Instagram or here on the YouTube channel. Share a brief insight on your personal journey towards sobriety and empowerment, and get the conversation started. And let's make this a platform for sharing and healing. And then spread the word. Tag at least 2 friends who would benefit from this conversation. You're not only entering this giveaway, you're also amplifying the message Gina and I have brought to you today. And then stay connected. Make sure you're subscribed to the Freedom Seeker Show, and also continue to like, share, and engage with us. We'll be selecting the winner based on the most heartfelt and inspiring entries, so keep your eyes peeled on social media. We'll be announcing the winner as soon as we have your entries. This giveaway is a token of our appreciation for you, our listeners, and a reminder that you're not alone in this journey. Whether you're contemplating sobriety or are on a path of personal growth, or simply just seeking inspiration, these books have been very meaningful to me. I didn't join an AA group or anything like that. So for me, the road of recovery was truly linked into these stories of these other people that were, just like Gina shared today, their own story of sobriety. So thank you for tuning in, and a special thank you to our sponsor, YvonneWinkler.com, for making this giveaway possible. And together we're building a community of freedom seekers. Remember your story, as it has power to inspire. Thank you so much for listening.